Welcome back, everybody. And now we're still talking about some creature types. Um, Maybe I should actually get back to Max because Max is going to be kind of our primary. He's going to be my first character that I'm going to design. He's going to be the villain, the main villain, of course, of the game, and he's going to be the very first scene that you play. In fact, this should be the very first. No, this won't be the first scene that you play. This will be the first demo I have, playable demo. But the first actual scene will be halfway actually what investigating what's going on with Enchanted Lands because things are not as they should be. Okay, so we went back to Max here. Resident of Enchanted Lands before it became a tourist spot. It was not particularly notable. It did seem to have Mean Street when he was a child. He'd play around. Actually, it should kind of go through the backstories of all these guys, but I don't know if like the Max backstory just kind of came to my head, and now I even forgot it. But good thing is I got it written down, right? When Max was a child, he'd play around the mountains and eventually finds his way into the Gnome Kingdom. The King of the Gnomes is amused by Max and allows him to come in and play with gems and do whatever he wants in the gnomes' own minds. Max learns that the gnomes use a potion that is derived from Quicksilver that essentially zombifies Enchanted Land's residents. Okay, so already there, the gnomes use. Okay, so the gnomes. In fact, I can put that up here. They have used a potion made with, say, well, okay, potion made with Quicksilver and used it to zombify whoop some residents in order to mine for them. So basically, what this is this is small scale, right? So the gnomes are greedy. They kind of have small minds. They're mean, and they make this potion that is able to basically control the mind of any resident that they use it on, and then they abduct them usually and have them work in the mines. And I don't know if they return them. I haven't really thought that far ahead. Maybe they don't return them. Maybe they are always in the mines or whatever. Or maybe what they do is they have them mine something and then they send them back, and when it wears off, they don't have any memory of what they did. It's probably more like it. Anyways, so it says that they use a potion derived from Quicksilver. It was zombify as residents, meaning completely without their own free will. It makes them work with their minds. Max feels he can use this to his advantage because he wants to rule Enchanted Lands. So eventually, Max sets out to see if he can imbue magic on the general citizenry of Enchanted Lands by experimenting with Quicksilver, with an attempt to take over the land. He eventually gets thwarted by Halfway, the king, and a few other people, Count Roy being one. Count Roy is a vampire. Now, vampires work a little bit differently in Enchanted Lands than they do in other, other pieces of fiction, right? Um, that sound you're hearing is I think is like a lawnmower or something. They're doing lawn stuff and it's just kind of annoying. Anyways, okay, so see what I mean? You won't be able to hear me because of stupid lawn care. It always seems like they do it just to like annoy you, even though they don't. It just always seems that ways. But in any case, so uh, what was I getting to? He experiments on the citizens to take over Enchanted Lands. Oh yeah, I was talking about Count Roy. The vampires in Enchanted Lands, um, they don't suck blood. I guess I'm kind of Disneyfying vampires, right? Um, but it's just the way that it works in my, because Count Roy is kind of funny, but what makes people think that they drink blood is because there's this certain kind of berry that grows in Enchanted Land, and they make a wine out of it, and it looks like blood. And so they're always known for uh, supposedly drinking blood, which they don't do, but they do actually bite their mate on the neck, and that turns the mate into a vampire. And of course, they always do it. Uh, it's always the free will of the mate. So Count Roy, he's looking for his soulmate, so to speak. He's looking for a girlfriend basically, and but she has to freely give up her normal life for him, and then he bites her, and then uh, she becomes a vampire also, and it's sort of like being married, although they might get married. I don't know. I haven't really thought that that far ahead again. Okay, so vampires are really nice guys. They do turn into bats. I mean, that's part of the deal. So I mean, technically, they're still vampires. The only thing they don't actually do is they don't actually suck blood. Okay, that's just like a myth, and you know, maybe some people from our world visited Enchanted Lands at some point and thought they were drinking blood, and so they created this horror thing. And vampires really aren't like that in Enchanted Lands, or in reality, you might say. In any case, I digress. So basically, Max goes and prior to the game, the events leading up to the game. In fact, I was going to make a prequel. I was thinking of making a prequel, like a low resolution 320 by 240 or 200 or whatever in like AGS or something, as sort of a test thing. It would be smaller in scope than this game, and I mean, it's still probably a good idea, and I still might even revisit it at one point. But at this point, I'm doing this, and so maybe it will make the story or whatever. So this kind of sets it up here. Halfway the King, some other people, they managed to catch Max doing this, and eventually they banish him from Enchanted Lands, right? Completely banish him, and they send him off world to some other place. And I haven't decided if it's going to be like some kind of prison or something, Phantom Zone, a la Superman, or it's just someplace else. Um, so so let's see. So they decided to banish Max from the sunny nexus between the worlds. He still managed to get away with a small piece of Quicksilver. Now, okay, so now here's the deal, right? For anybody that wants to follow the development of the game, they get spoilers. Now, you might be the other way around. You might still want to be looking at development and not want spoilers. But I'm just I would say outright, you're gonna hear spoilers. I do keep one secret, and that's the Black Knight, and that's Sir William the Unicorn. I mean, he's not a secret, but their relationship and what happens is going to be a secret until I finally actually get around to designing that part of it. But you're gonna hear everything. This is a I'm vlogging everything about making this game. Okay, so basically, okay, so the Sunny Nexus, word has it that somehow some person in the far-flung past managed to make his way into the Sunny Nexus. The Sunny Nexus is basically, it's just a kind of it was kind of like a barren land, you might say. It's sunny, uh, but it's got points of convergence where different worlds, you can come in from different worlds, right? and somehow he managed to get there, and decided to build his house, and eventually there'd be like kind of like a civilization, and he brought some people from his world into the Nexus, and eventually just kind of created Enchanted Lands, and people started getting magic. Not everybody, because there's some residents that aren't magical, and eventually built into this like kingdom, right? And then the kingdom eventually trying to make ends meet. Um, making ends meet is kind of vague, but basically trying to survive. They decide to resort to tourism, and that's Halfway's idea, and he gives it to the king, and the king thinks it's cool, and so they create this big resort, right? So the resort hub has the castle is in the clouds, and now it works as uh, administration building with the king running it. And then Enchanted Lands on the ground. It's got the resort hub, which has basically all your resorts and restaurants and things like that. And then you have your quote unquote attractions, different lands. And I haven't really decided if you're gonna have like quote unquote rides or if it's just gonna be what it is. But basically, so he tries to take over. They expel him, and somehow he manages to sneak out with a little tiny bit of quicksilver, maybe in the lining of his jacket or some such thing like that. And so this allows him to come back later. And when he comes back later, now he's figured out a way of covering all of his bases. He gets Violet Moonshadow, who's a sorceress, to to uh, to take Halfway's magic. In fact, that's why he's called Halfway. His name's Henry, but everybody calls him Halfway. He gets half of his magic stolen because when wizards marry, they they they, uh, they give half their magic to their spouse, and so basically she took it, and then she took his magic, and then she got a divorce, and then later on when Max comes in, of course she's with Max. And thing about the dwarves, and this time when Max comes in, his ambition is like way bigger. So instead of just conquering Enchanted Lands, this time he wants to build a machine to open portals to every land that can connect up to Enchanted Lands, connect up to the Nexus. Um, so he sets his plans in motion for this large scale dealing, and of course armies. Uh, he gets Red Riding Hood to recruit armies of werewolves, and Red Riding Hood, of course, she's not a nice person like in the fairy tales. Red Riding Hood basically actually there's a funny I think what Fractured Fairy Tales or whatever from Jay Ward's like Bullwinkle and Friends and stuff, the Bullwinkle cartoons, but the Fractured Fairy Tales segment where the Red Riding Hood does this very thing, and it might be where I had got the idea in my head. So basically, a Red Riding Hood and Grandma trick werewolves, and eventually they're able to take their skins and sell them. And of course, the previous times, when Max was there before, somehow werewolves figure into the story. So probably werewolves at one point actually was on the good side, and now Max uses Red Riding Hood to get werewolves for his army. Anyways, that's the video for this time. I know it got a little bit long here. I know it's a little bit bumpy, but I think I made some good progress here, and we should be able to so the next deal I'm going to is probably, I don't know if I'm gonna do maybe the tutorial thing next. I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll see. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.